The Birmingham Qur'an Manuscript.
This Quranic manuscript, held at the University of Birmingham, forms part of our Mingana collection of Middle Eastern manuscripts in the Cabra Research Library. We've recently made a very exciting discovery. We've had the manuscript radiocarbon dated, and it's proved to be one of the earliest Quranic manuscripts in the world.
It is one of the most remarkable and historically significant Quranic texts ever discovered. It consists of 2 parchment leaves that were discovered in the Mingana collection of Middle Eastern manuscripts, housed at the University of Birmingham, United Kingdom. The manuscript was identified in 2015 as containing some of the earliest known Quranic text. Its discovery and subsequent carbon dating have had profound implications for our understanding of the early history of the Quran. Let's explore its details further. Carbon dating and its significance. In 2015, the University of Birmingham sent the manuscript to the Oxford Radiocarbon Accelerator Unit for radiocarbon analysis. This scientific technique measures the decay of carbon isotopes to determine the age of organic materials. The radiocarbon analysis determined that the parchment dates back to between 568 CE and 645 CE with 95.4% accuracy. This time frame is significant because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, lived from 570 CE to 632 CE.
The context of the Birmingham manuscript, if it is what we now think it is very important indeed. Islam is associated, of course, with the Prophet Muhammad, and he lived in the late 6th and early 7th century. Now, this manuscript could well have been written just after he died.
The dating suggests that the manuscript was created during or very shortly after the life of the Prophet Muhammad. This means it is possible that the parchment was produced and the Quranic text was written on it during the lifetime of some of the Prophet's companions, who would have personally heard the Quran being recited directly from him. This challenges any theories suggesting a much later compilation and provides strong evidence for the early documentation of the Quranic text. Description of the manuscript. The manuscript is written in an early form of Arabic script known as Hijazi script. This script is characterized by its angular, slanted style and lack of diacritical marks, dots that distinguish between similar-looking letters. The Hijazi script is one of the earliest styles used to write the Quran, reflecting the manuscript's antiquity. The text is inscribed on parchment, animal skin, a common writing material in the early centuries of Islam, which also helped in the preservation of the manuscript over the centuries.
The 2 leaves that have been carbon dating were put together with other 7 leaves coming from another manuscript, and probably they were put together in the same manuscript, the 1572, because of the similar script. The script is the Hijazi script, called also Ma'il script, that means slanting because of the characteristic of
the
the
Birmingham
script.
Quran manuscript contains parts of Surah 18, Al-Kahf, Surah 19, Maryam, and Surah 20, Taha. Although it is only 2 folios, parchment sheets, long, it covers verses that are significant and familiar to Muslims around the world. Historical context. The carbon dating of the Birmingham Quran manuscript aligns with Islamic historical accounts which state that the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad over a period of 23 years, 610 to 632 CE. During his lifetime, the revelations were memorized by his companions and recorded on various materials like parchment, bones, and palm leaves. Shortly after his death, the first caliph, Abu Bakr, 632 to 634 CE, ordered the compilation of the Quran into a single book to preserve it. This was further standardized under the third caliph, Uthman ibn Affan, 644 to 656 CE, who distributed standardized copies to different regions. The Birmingham manuscript's early date suggests that the writing of the Quran was occurring alongside its oral transmission. This reflects the dual method of preservation practiced by early Muslims: memorization and documentation. The manuscript may well be a remnant of the period when the Quran was being carefully copied and disseminated. This highlights the era of oral and written preservation. Textual consistency. How about a comparison with modern Quran? Scholars who have examined the Birmingham Manuscript have found that its text is virtually identical to the Quran that is recited and printed today. Despite the early date of the manuscript, there are no discrepancies in the verses it contains, which supports the Islamic belief that the Quran has been preserved without change since it was revealed over 1,400 years ago. Although the script lacks the diacritical marks, dots, and vowel signs that are common in later Quranic manuscripts, this does not indicate textual difference. Such features were added in later centuries to facilitate correct pronunciation and reading. The absence of these marks in the Birmingham Manuscript is typical for early Arabic writing and does not affect the meaning of the text.
The parts of the Quran that are contained in those fragments are very similar indeed to the Quran as we have it today. And so this tends to support the view that the Quran that we now have is more or less very close indeed to the Quran as it was brought together in the early years of Islam.
Significance of the discovery. The carbon dating results have strengthened the traditional Islamic narrative regarding the Quran's early compilation. They affirm that Quranic texts were being written down very early, during or soon after the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad. This refutes claims that the Quran was compiled or altered decades or centuries later. The manuscript offers a glimpse into the early Islamic period, shedding light on the religious, linguistic, and cultural practices of the time. It suggests that Muslims placed a high priority on the accurate preservation of their holy text, using sophisticated writing and memorization methods. The discovery of the Birmingham Quran manuscript attracted significant global media attention. It was seen as an archaeological and religious treasure, not only by Muslims but by scholars and historians around the world. Many were amazed by the manuscript's age and how closely it aligns with the established history of the Quran's compilation. Other related manuscripts. While the Birmingham Quran manuscript is among the oldest known, it is not the only early Quranic text. It is part of a larger tradition of early Quranic manuscripts, including those found in Sana'a, Yemen, and Tübingen, Germany. These manuscripts, when studied together, help paint a comprehensive picture of the Quran's early transmission. Scholars often compare these manuscripts to cross-verify their dates, content, and script styles, further solidifying the understanding of the Quran's early history. In conclusion, the Birmingham Quran manuscript stands as one of the oldest surviving pieces of the Quranic text, dating back to a time that overlaps with the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad or shortly thereafter. Its carbon dating to between 568 and 645 CE has profound implications for understanding the history of the Quran's transmission, offering strong evidence that the text was compiled and documented very early on. This manuscript, with its text consistent with the Quran recited by Muslims today, reinforces the belief in the preservation of the Quran through centuries. It is a remarkable find that continues to be a subject of fascination and study for scholars, historians, and believers alike.
Okay. واصبر نفسك مع الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي يريدون وجهه لا تعد عيناك.
Let us know what you think. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.